The western region of North America encompasses a wide range of biospheres, from dry to wet and hot to cold climates. We strive to be an inclusive region that is open to the production practices for all horticultural crops, from blueberries to cannabis, not just ornamentals. Our next presentation is the first from the remote reaches of Northeast India. Professor Sunil Kumar Chaturvedi will walk us through some of his research on the orchids of Nagaland.
Hello, good morning to all. I'm S.K. Chaturvedi from Nagaland University. Today I'm going to speak on the modes of pollination in some indigenous orchids of Northeast India with special emphasis on orchids of Nagaland state. At the outset, I would like to thank Professor Sharma for inviting me to this webinar. So this is showing the map of India, and in India we are staying here in Northeast India. This is having boundary with Myanmar on the east, and then with Bhutan at the north, and on south with Bangladesh. If you see the Northeast India in close-up, we are having 8 states. Previously, we were having 7 states, and they were known as 7 sisters. Now we are having 8 sisters. So first of all, we'll tell you about the Assam. Assam is the biggest tea cultivation state, and they are having lots of festivals. The main festival of Assamese is Bihu. So here you can see these young girls and boys, they are celebrating Bihu and making Bihu dance. Here the single horn rhino, which is confined to Kaziranga National Park, and this is endemic to this region. Then we come to state of Arunachal Pradesh, where the Mithun is the state animal, and they are having lots of hillocks covered with the snow. Then slopes and lakes and rivers are there. These beautiful girls, they also have various type of dance. Then we come to Manipur state. Manipur state is also vibrant, and this is the fort of Manipur king. These are the girls performing Radha Shyam dance. And then these are the lotus which are in the pond. And these Manipuri people, they are fond of eating red chili. So this is the cultivation of red chili. Then we come to Meghalaya. Meghalaya consists of 2 words. Megha means clouds, and Alaya means house. So this is literally known as the house of cloud. So most of the months of year, we are having rains there. So lots of river and ponds and springs are there. And local people use these big elephants for towing the wood logs. Then we come to a state of Mizoram, which is a tribal state, and this state is established on the hillocks, beautiful hillocks, and then this is the church because 100% of population is Christian. These young girls and boys, they are performing bamboo dance. They dance in between bamboo, and these are Sychium edulis, a squash fruit, and this is eaten by local people as boil. Then we come to state of Nagaland. Nagaland is having 16 tribal tribes, and then each tribe, they are having their own dialect. So this is Konyak tribe. They are ready with the war dance, and this is the coffee beans cultivation, and this is a park with wood carving, and this picture depicts the Doyang hydroelectric project. Then we come to Sikkim, and Sikkim is first organic state, and most of the people, they are following Buddhism. So this is the Buddha Park, and these are the peaks which are covered with ice. And the highest peak in Northeast India is also represent the Sikkim. Then we come to Tripura. Tripura is comparatively at lower height, and the maximum peak in Tripura is around 930 meters. They cultivate rubber, and see here the lady and this boy, they are making incision in the stem of Hevia braziliensis, that is rubber plant, and they cultivate lots of pineapple of very good quality. They are sweet. So if we come to the details of topography of this region, northeast region, as I told you, in eastern Himalaya, in Sikkim state, we are having the highest peak, which is 8,586 meter high, and this is called Kaziranga peak. Then the lowest peak, as I told, this is present in Tripura, that is 930 meters high, and this is known as Beta Longship, that is in Jempoi Hills. Now, if you see the Jorhat state and Golaghat, which are the sites of my study, and this is in the Assam state. Here in Jorhat district, I studied 4 sites. One is Mariani, second is Solangpar Given Wildlife Sanctuary, third is Tiru Hills Reserve Forest, and fourth, Bishoi Valley Reserve Forest. In Golaghat district, I studied 2 localities. One is Kakadunga, and second is Kamarbunda. Then we come to Nagaland, in which in Mokokchung district and Junovoto district we studied. In Mokokchung district, I got 5 localities where these orchids were studied for their pollination. First is Sutafala, second is Longtu Valley, third is Chunky village, and then Khensa, and fifth is Mokokchung district. Then we come to Junovoto district. Here we studied orchid pollination in 3 localities. First is Sumisetsu, second is Zafumi, and third is Lomami. Then if you see the orchid diversity in Northeast India, we are having nearly 900 species belonging to 165 genera, which constitutes 72.8% of the total orchids of India. If you see the BSI record of 2015, 93 species have been reported as endemic to Northeast India. Of course, there is now increase in the records of these orchids in Northeast India. Might be the species, total species now has crossed 1,000. Then if you see the modes of pollination among orchids, taxa from Nagaland, I observed 2 types of pollination. One is due to the visit of insect visitors and other animals, but other mode is abiotic, without agency of any biotic visitor. So I will not take up with abiotic, but I will take only biotic pollination. And biotic pollination is having different modes, and Tarsinotribe, which is caused through the legs of insect or any animal, this has not been observed in Nagaland and Assam during my study. Second is Probonotribe. Here the pollinaria are carried through the proboscis of insect visitor, and the example is found in Calanthe sylvatica. Second is frontotriby, where the pollinaria are attached on the forehead of the insect visitor. And this is observed in species of Aridis odorata, Aridis rosea, then Rhynchostylis retusa, this is called boxtail orchid, then Flickingeria fugax, Polydota articulata. Then come to thoraxinotriby. Here the pollinaria are attached on the thorax of the insect, and this is found in all the 6 species of genus Dendrobium, then Phaeus tankerville, Paphiopedilum insigne, this is called lady sleeper, and then come to Abdominotriby, where the pollinaria are attached and transferred to the stigma through the agency of insect's abdomen. So this is found in Silogyne nitida and Silogyne corymbosa. Then if you see the details of biotic pollination, allogamy or cross-pollination among orchids of northeast India is always carried out through the agency of insects only. I have never observed any birds or bats or any other animal like frog, which is reported from China. So we have never observed these animals, but only insects on orchids for their pollination. Most of the orchids have been reported as monophilous, that is, they are pollinated by only one type of pollinator. However, promiscuous orchids have also been reported. That means they are pollinated by more than one pollinator. So, if you see the special features of these orchids, they exhibit the presence of column, unlike the other angiosperm, where the androecium and gynoecium are different. But here, androecium, gynoecium both are present on a structure called column. So this is anther at the apical portion of column, and just below that subapically stigma is present, and this stigma and anther, they are excluded through a membrane which is called rostellum, and rostellum play an important role in stopping the autogamy. And sometimes the autogamy also takes place through the elongation of this rostrum. The nectar is present at the base of most of the column. However, in some of the taxa, this is present in the spur, which is formed by sepals and the labellum. Then we come to another genus, this lady sleeper or Paphiopedilum, where the column is little bit modified. Here, if you see this column is having anther attached on both the sides, and the apical portion is converted, modified into shield, and then at the lateral surface, there is stigma. If you see now, I will demonstrate different orchids and their pollination. So this is Aridis odorata. This flower is having a long spur. See here, this is the spur full of nectar. They secrete nectar, and the insect visitor, they come to take nectar, and in this process, they pollinate the flower. This is Aridis rosea. Now see that this is Xylocopa visiting the flower of Aridis odorata. See how these pollinaria become attached on the forehead of these visitors. Then this is the bumblebee showing these yellow globular pollinaria attached on the forehead. And this is the spur. See how big is the spur, and this is full of nectar. Then we come to butterflies. These butterflies, they visit flower. They are the nectar thief. They don't help in pollination, but they take nectar from these flowers. Then these are the close-up of insects showing how these pollinaria, a lump of pollinaria, they are attached with the forehead. So this is Visidium, this is this type, and these are uh, Pollinia. Then this is the close-up of a pollinated flower showing the attachment of pollinaria which is germinated, and as soon as the pollinaria inserted into stigma, the lateral part of this column, they proliferate and cover the pollinarium so that other insects cannot visit and take out these pollinaria. Then this is showing the fruiting. Around 80% of the fruiting has been observed in these Aridis odorata and Aridis rosea. Now then we come to spider orchid that is called Arachnis labrosa, and here a wasp, Parapolyvia varia, is a pollinator which also exhibit mimicry with them. See here in the floral part, the outer surface is brown, and they are having various type zigzag design mm, as yellow. But in the west, they are having body brown and the zigzag, these structure yellow. Here you can see the close-up. This is the pollinaria attached on the head of the wasp, and this is the stigma where the pollinaria is glued. Then we come to more close-up of these flowers. This is showing the anther, which is pollinaria is present, and this is the visidium, and this is the stigma. In this, you see how pollinaria inserted into the stigma and get germination. Then we come to another genus, Calanthe sylvatica, which is terrestrial. The plants, they don't grow over other plants or epiphyte. They are growing on the surface. Terrestrial orchids are there. Now they are having a big spur in which the nectar is secreted. These are the pollinaria. This is stigma. And if you see this slide, these are the pollinator of this Notocrypta curvifacia, commonly called as restricted demon. So see how long they are having their proboscis, and these proboscis go inside the spur. This is the spur, long spur. And then they take out nectar, and when they retract their proboscis, the pollinaria come along with them. And when they visit other flower, they transfer the pollinaria into the stigma. And this is not intentionally done. This is by chance. This is not a regular process. This is done by accident. So pollination in orchids is not a regular process, but this is due to accident. Now you see the close-up here, these different butterflies are there. This is Pilopedas sinensis, commonly called as large banded swift. And then this is Udapsis pholus, grass demon. So these are, see here, the big proboscis, and they are inserting it into these long spines. So as Darwin in the year 1873 predicted that those orchid flower having long spur might be having a pollinator with long proboscis. So today I feel proud to report these butterflies and moths as pollinator of these Calanthe species. Then we come to the another genus. This is Coelogyne nitida, where the honeybees, Apis indica, they are the pollinator. While they take out the nectar, the pollinaria become attached on the back side of the thorax, and they exhibit thoraxinotribe. And this is the Coelogyne fimbriata, and this is pollinated by Megapis dorsata or rock bee. And here also the pollinaria become attached on the back side of the thorax. Then we come to another genus which is very common in Assam. If we go from Jorat to Dimapur, then on the both sides of road, big trees, they are having these Cymbidium aloepolium with long inflorescence, and these flowers they are visited by Apis indica or common honeybee, and the Thoraxinotribe is the mode of pollination. That is, the pollen area become attached on the thorax and the inserted through the thorax of these honeybees. Then these are the different species of Dendrobium. This is Dendrobium densiflorum of pineapple orchid. This is Dendrobium fimbriata. This is Dendrobium species. And this is Dendrobium devonianum, Dendrobium primulinum, Dendrobium moscatum. This is also one species of Dendrobium. See, all these flowers, they are having a black uh, solitary bee as a pollinator. So what I feel that interspecific hybridization of these orchid is possible because the attachment of pollinaria is on the thorax. So thoraxinotribe is very much prevailing in all the observed species of Dendrobium. Now, sometimes in Northeast India, the weather is very unpredictable. So what happens in the morning, bright sunlight is there and suddenly clouds come and rain starts. So during that period, if these insects, they are inside the flower, they sleep there with attached pollinaria on thorax. And they sleep throughout the night, and in the morning, next morning, when sun rays falls, they flutter their wings and go away. See, the attachment of pollinaria is still there on their thorax. Then we come to another genus, Plagingeria fruax, and which is pollinated by Lagioblassum pavonatum. See the black solitary bee, and here the pollinaria are attached on the thorax of these insects. Then we come to next genus. This is also terrestrial orchid, that is Phaeus tankerbile, and these flowers, they are non-rewarding. That means they don't offer any nectar or any nutrition to the visitor, but they emit a fragrance, a strong fragrance, and which attract these various species of carpenter bees or genus Xylocopa. See here how they are visiting, they are going inside the tube formed by the lip of these flower, and when they come, the pollinaria become attached on their thorax. So this is also exhibit thoraxinotribe. See here, this is more close up, how many pollinaria become attached on there. And this paper I have already published in International Journal of Plant Reproductive Biology. So my most of the papers which I am presenting, they are published, and they all are, most of them, they are published in International Journal of Plant Reproductive Biology. Now, so this is a close-up of these insects showing the attachment of pollinaria, and this is the bunch of pollinaria. Now then we come to genus Pholidota articulata. This is also producing nectar and visited by paper wasp as well as honeybees. So this is the paper wasp, and see the pollinaria become attached on the forehead. So frontotribe is the mode of pollination. However, honeybees, Apis indica, they also visit these flowers for nectar, and here the pollinaria become attached on their proboscis or mouth part. So this is Provonotribe. Here you see a bunch of pollinaria become attached on the forehead of these paper wasps. Now then we come to another beautiful orchid from Assam, and that is known as Ringko Stylus retusa, commonly this is known as foxtail orchid. They emit a mild fragrance, and that fragrance attract these two type of Xylocopa, Xylocopa violacea and Xylocopa aestuans, which are the pollinator of these flowers. Now see how many, nearly 90 or more than 90 pollinaria, they become attached to their forehead. And then this is, see, Xylocopa aestuans, which is taking nectar from the spur, and the column come in contact to their heads. So this is showing the fruiting of these orchids. Now, one thing I would like to mention here, if these visitors, they don't visit flowers, there will never be any fruiting, and the whole inflorescence remain dry. Now then we come to next genus, Thunia. Thunia is also found growing on rocky walls as well as on small trees. And the pollinator of this is Bombus, this bumblebee, Bombus lapidarius, where the pollinaria become attached on the thorax. The drawback of this flower is, this is of course, this produces lots of amount of nectar, but because of the long tube made by uh, the one of the petal, the insect, they cannot go inside, and then very less number of fruiting has been found in this orchid. Then we come to blue venda or Venda cerulea, which is endemic to Northeast India, particularly in Shillong, Meghalaya, and then in Nagaland. This is very common. So this is visited and pollinated by Xylocopa nasalis, which are the pollinator of this. And see how these pollinaria become attached on the back side of the head of the Xylocopa. Then we come to another genus which is very much interesting in mode of pollination. This is called lady sleeper, Paphiopedilum insigne. And if you see this is a pouch or syncypalum. This form is structured just like the sleeper. So this is commonly called lady sleeper. If you see the column of this and stigma, this is having different structure from other orchid. This is the column, both side of the lateral side of column, anthers are present, and this is covered with a big shield. Then below the shield there is stigma. So these pollen grains or pollinaria, they has to be shifted over here. And this is done through the agency of syrphid flies. See, these are the papillae which are present in this syncypalum. And these papillae, they produce the fragrance which is just like urine. And then this urine-like fragrance, they attract syrphid flies. And these syrphid flies, they operate the pollination system on this lady sleeper. So if you see, this is the close-up with the once Syrphus species inside the syncypalum, and these structure, brown, small structure, they are the papillae. Now, these syrphid flies, they want to go out from the pouch, but they are unable to go because these surfaces, they are slippery. So they just roam around and then see an exit. Here is the insect inside. And through arrow, through animation, I wanted to just depict. In this way, they go, these insect, and then they come in contact with anther, and then they come in contact with stigma and transfer the pollens, which are loosely arranged into pollen area. Then see, this is how they come in contact with the anther. Then they come in contact with the stigma. Then sometimes the glue is so strong that these insects, they are unable to move out of that and get killed over there. Now, if you see the list of orchids and their pollinator in Assam and Nagaland states of Northeast India, most of these species, if you see, they are visited and pollinated up to here. Rhynchostylis retusa, Phyas tankerville, Aridis odorata, Aridis rosea, Vanda cerulea, and Rhynchostylis retusa. All these, they are visited and pollinated by various species of Xylocopa. Then we come to Cymbidium aloecolium and Coelogyne nitida, Coelogyne corymbosa. These three species, they are pollinated and visited by Apis indica, that is the common Indian honeybee. Then we come to genus Flegingeria. Flegingeria fugax is pollinated and visited by Lasioglossum pavonatum. Then all the species of Dendrobium, they are visited and pollinated by genus Lasioglossum, that is the solitary bees, black solitary bees. Then we come to Pholiluta articulata, which is visited and pollinated by a wasp, Parapolibia varia, and honeybee Apis indica. Then Thunia alba is visited and pollinated by Bombus lapidarius, bumblebee. This is the only pollinator we have observed. And then we come to spider orchid, that is Arachnis labrosa. This is pollinated by Parapolibia varia. This is the paper wasp, and which shows the mimicry with that of the floral leaves. Then we come to Calanthe sylvatica, which is visited and pollinated by different type of moths and butterflies. And sometime we see this moth macro blossom also over these flowers. And if you see the pollination success, nectar quantity produced, and the concentration of sugar of these rewarding orchids, the Aridis comes on the top, which is having only 14.24 millimicron of these nectar, and then the concentration of the nectar is 39.9%, and then pollination success is 54.07%. This is the maximum we have observed in these flowers. Then second comes to Rhynchostylis retusa, where of course the nectar quantity is less, 9.8 mul, but concentration of nectar is 44.6%, more than the Aridis, and the success of pollination or fruit production is 45.48%. Of course, Thunia alba produce lots of nectar, 29.41%, but the concentration is similar to that of Aridis. Even then, they produce only 39.88% of fruit because of the complicated structure of the lip of the flower, which is not giving the free entry to these insects inside the flower. So what we can conclude, the free access to the nectar as well as to the column of these orchids, they leads to the more production or more successful pollination among these orchids. Now you see, this is pollination success in relation to quantity and concentration of sugar in nectar of various orchids. This is we depicted through the histogram here also. Aridis odorata, Aridis rosea, then Rhynchostylis retusa, and then Thunia alba. Of course, this is having lots of nectar, but they produce lesser fruits. Then we conclude our lecture. Most of the orchid flowers studied were found to be melliferous, namely Dendrobium, Aridis, Chilogyne, Cymbidium, and Tonia. All the melliferous orchid taxa are visited by bees, wasps, butterflies, and moths only, but uh, all the visitors are not pollinator, as I told. In case of Aridis butterflies, they are nectar thief. They don't pollinate the flower and take out the nectar. Among orchids, the saprophyllous flowers of genus Paphiopedilum are visited and pollinated by syrphid flies only. The syrphid flies have been found as the only visitor and pollinator of lady sleeper orchids, but have never been observed on the other flower of these orchids. So therefore, out of 23 species studied for their pollination, only 4 species were found autogamous, and rest of the 19 species exhibit biotic pollination through insect visitors. Now, so this is the photograph with my student, Dr. Bhaskar Buragohen, who did PhD on orchid pollination under my supervision. So this is myself. And then this lecture has been dedicated to my revered teacher, Professor Divya Pant, who was the student of Professor Birbal Sani, an eminent paleobotanist, and in India, he is known as father of paleobotany in India. So thanks for kind attention. Thank you very much for your patience hearing.
I'm a total bug nerd, a self-professed bug nerd. And so to see a presentation like that, that not only involves such beautiful plants like orchids, but then also the reaction. And those orchids are really proving to us that there is no free lunch. Those bugs have work to do. I also really enjoyed the fact that there are so many different types of insects, the syrphid fly, the wasp, the moths. These are all very different insects that interact with them. It's absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, Dr. Chaturvedi, and congratulations on your recent retirement from the head of the botany department at Nagaland University this past July.